I want to ask you something, and I need you to answer it honestly. When was the last time you sat in a room completely alone, with no phone, no screen, no sound, and you were completely okay with it? Not meditate, not productive, not doing anything at all, just sitting, just exist. I asked myself that question 31 days ago, and I realized I could not remember. I could not think of a single moment in the past several years where I had been truly, peacefully alone with my own mind. That scared and that fear is what made me do something that most people said was impossible. I deleted every social media app from my phone. Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, all of it gone for 30 days. And what happened to my brain? I did not expect it. Nobody warned me that. And after watching this video, you will understand yourself in a way that most people never will. Let me give you some context. Before this experiment, I was not what you would call a social media addict. At least, I did not think I was. I was not the kind of person who posted every hour or needed validation from strangers. But I did open Instagram every morning before I got out of bed. I did scroll Twitter while eating lunch. I did watch none more YouTube video every night until midnight without meaning to. I checked my phone 97 times a day. I know that exact number because my phone told, and I still did not change. The thing that broke me was a study. Researchers at the University of Pennsylvania found that participants who limited social media to 30 minutes per day showed significant reductions in loneliness and depression in just 3 weeks. But the more shocking part was this. The control group, the people who kept using social media normal, reported feeling worse by the end of the study. Not new, actively worse. I remember reading that and thinking, I have been doing this for years. What has it been doing to my brain this entire time? So on a Tuesday evening in March, I deleted the apps. Not deactive, deleted. I wanted to make it inconvenient enough that a moment of weakness could not undo it. What followed was one of the strangest, most uncomfortable, most revealing months of my life. I am going to be completely honest with you about the first week because nobody talks about this part. Day 1 felt fine, almost proud. I told myself it was easy. I was wrong. By day 2, I noticed something unsettling. Every time I sat down to eat, every time I walked from one room to another, every time I had a single moment with nothing to do, my hand moved toward my pocket on its own. Not because I decided to check my phone. My hand just moved, without permission, like a reflex. Neuroscientists have a name for this. It is called a behavioral loop, a trigger, a routine, and a reward pattern so deeply encoded in your nervous system that it bypasses conscious thought entirely. I had built mine over 6 years of reaching for my phone during every spare second, and now my brain was demanding that reward and not getting. Day 3 and 4 were the hardest. I felt a low, restless agitation that I could not name. Not angry, not sad, just unsettled, like something was missing, and I could not identify what. I later learned this is the dopamine trough, the period when your brain, deprived of its usual stimulation, drops below its baseline and searches desperately for a replacement. Here is the part that surprised me most. I was not bored. I thought I would be bored, but what I actually felt was something much more uncomfortable than boredom. I felt a deep unfamiliarity with my own mind. I did not know how to just think in. Every time a thought appeared, I had been trained to immediately distract myself from it. Here's the part that surprised me most. I was not bored. I thought I would be bored, but what I actually felt was something much more uncomfortable than boredom. I felt a deep unfamiliarity with my own mind. I did not know how to just think anymore. Every time a thought appeared, I had been trained to immediately distract myself from it. Without the distraction, the thoughts stayed, and some of them were thoughts I had been running from for a very long time. By day 7, something shifted. The phantom phone checking started to fade. Not complete, but the unconscious reflex began to slow down. And in the spaces where the scrolling used to live, something unexpected started growing. Silence. And for the first time in years, it did not feel threatening. By the second week, I started noticing things I had not noticed in years. I noticed that my attention span was lengthening. I sat down to read a book, something I used to struggle to do for more than 10 minutes. And I read for an hour and a half without checking in. Not because I forced myself, because I wanted to. The story pulled me in a way that content had stopped doing. I had forgotten what genuine absorption felt like. I started having ideas again, not while sitting at my desk trying to be productive, while walking to make coffee, while standing in the shower, while lying in bed before sleep. Thoughts that connected to other thoughts in ways that felt creative and surprising. I had not experienced that kind of mental wandering in so long that it felt strange, almost foreign. There is a scientific explanation. It is called the default mode network, a system in your brain that activates specific when you are not focused on external tasks. It is responsible for creativity, self-reflection, empathy, and the ability to imagine the future. Research shows that constant social media use suppresses this network. Your brain never gets the unstructured time it needs to process, connect, and create. You are essentially starving one of the most important cognitive systems you have every single time you open an app out of habit. Week 3 brought something I genuinely did not anticipate. My conversations got better, not slightly better, dramatically better. When I sat with another person, I was fully there. I was not half present while mentally composing a caption or wondering if someone had replied to my story. I was just there, listening, responding, noticing details about the person in front of me that I had been too distracted to see before. My friendships felt more real. My family felt closer. And I had not changed a single thing about my relationships, only what I brought to them. I also noticed something harder to articulate. I stopped comparing myself to other people's lives, not because I made a conscious effort to, but because I simply was not seeing their curated highlight reels, and my self-image quietly stabilized. I stopped feeling like I was behind. I stopped feeling like everyone else was doing more, achieving more, living more. That background hum of inadequacy that I had normalized over years, it just faded out. By day 25, something happened that I want to describe as carefully as I can, because I do not want to oversell it, and I do not want to dismiss it. I was sitting in my apartment on a Sunday afternoon. Nothing was happening. There was no plan, no task, no content. I was just sitting by the window watching it rain, and I felt genuine, quiet, without any reason or trigger. Content. Not happy about something, not excited, just deeply, peacefully okay. I cannot tell you the last time I felt that before this experiment, because most of us have been in the habit of treating contentment as a problem to be solved. We feel okay, and we immediately open our phones, as if okay is not enough, as if we need stimulation to justify our existence. We have become incapable of resting inside a moment that simply is what it is. That afternoon in the rain, I understood something I had read but never felt. Your natural state, the state your brain returns to when it is not being constantly interrupted, is actually pretty good. The anxiety, the restlessness, the sense that something is always missing, a significant portion of that is manufactured by the loop, by the apps, by the algorithm designed not to make you happy but to keep you returning. Day 30 came, and I will tell you the truth, I did not feel the rush of triumph I expected. I felt something quieter. I felt like I had remembered something I used to know and had slowly forgot that my mind is mine, that my attention is one of the most valuable. Day 30 came, and I will tell you the truth, I did not feel the rush of triumph I expected. I felt something quiet. I felt like I had remembered something I used to know and had slowly forgot that my mind is mine, that my attention is one of the most valuable things I possess, and that I had been giving it away for free to systems that were profiting from my distraction. I have social media back now, but nothing is the same as it was. I use it now the way you use a tool, with a purpose for a limited time, and then I put it down. The reflex is gone, or mostly gone. The difference between before and after is the difference between eating when you are hungry and eating simply because food is present. My sleep is deeper. I fall asleep faster, and I wake up without the mental fog that I used to accept as my morning normal. My focus at work is sharper, in a way that people around me have commented on, without knowing what changed. My relationship with myself is quieter and more honest, because I spend enough time alone with my own thoughts to actually know what they are. And the comparison, that constant background noise of measuring my life against everyone else's, it has not completely disappeared, but it is a whisper now, where it used to be the loudest sound in the room. I am not telling you to delete your apps. That is not the point of this video. The point is this: somewhere underneath the noise, underneath the scrolling and the notifications and the constant low-level stimulation, there is a version of that thinks clearly, that rests complete, that is present with the people it loves, that creates instead of only consumes. That version of you has not gone anywhere. It is just waiting for a little silence. If this made you think about your own relationship with your phone, share it with one person who needs to hear it. And if you want to try a version of this experiment, even just for 7 days, I made a simple guide. The link is in the description. I will see you in the next